Colorado Revised Statute 19-7-101, 19-7-101 declares the rights of children in foster care, except those in jail or in the mental ward, from which 30 natural laws can be extrapolated. The purpose of the rights of foster children of Colorado is to promote the physical, mental, social, and emotional development of youth in foster care and to prepare them for a successful transition back into their families or the community. CRS 19-7-101-2. Here's the first one. The right to receive appropriate and reasonable adult guidance, support, and supervision. Number 2, the right to live in a safe, healthy, and comfortable environment where he or she is treated with respect and dignity. The right to maintain an Emancipation bank account. A bank account. The right to be free from an abandoned room or locked in a room. There's this piece of shit that had asked me, he was bullying me. He's on the side of child abusers, but he was making fun of me. He was saying, what do you think child abuse has ever, what has child abuse done to you? What do you think child abuse has done to you? And the reason why I think he was making fun of me, because he's a piece of shit, and it's clear to me now. But he was making fun of me because he was saying that it made me weak. He was saying that it made me a pushover. It made me an easy lick. So, yeah, it makes me, think that piece of shit bullies might be as good as I am because I'm committed to goodness. Why did I, endure so much child abuse? Because I love those people who were abusing me, and I wanted them to love me. So, yeah, I'm sure that would have, some, they have absolutely had some very dramatic effects on me. So I'll answer the question, but not to him, but, to you, because I think it's a good question, but a piece of shit that's just like, well, what do you think child abuse done to you? Motherfucker, you're telling me somebody comes up to you, a child says they're being abused, and this is how you act? So the first thing, what has child abuse done to me? Well, I'm very traumatized by evil. Growing up, I didn't have the inclination to go around. I was too good, if anything. Did the dishes, did the tobacco work, made straight A's. Basically, was a perfect child, perfect altar boy in terms of obeying mom and dad. It's made me, here's 3 things. So what has child abuse done to me? It's made me hypervigilant. It's made me opposed to child abuse, and it's made me opposed to injustice. You're telling me that if I go to smack somebody, that's an assault. But if somebody is to smack me, that's not an assault? Let's keep reading this. The reason why I think this is important, the rights of children in foster care, we get to see what our natural rights are. But I also see that had I been given up to foster care in Colorado, I would have had 30 rights and freedoms instead of freedom. Yeah, freedom's good and all, but bunch of dumb motherfuckers just saying a bunch of fucking words at you to allow them to abuse you. The right to transportation, the right to an education, the right to be free from an abandoned room or locked in a room, the right to maintain an Emancipation bank account, the right to live in a safe, healthy, and comfortable environment where he or she is treated with respect and dignity, the right to receive appropriate and reasonable adult guidance, support, and supervision. My main purpose in life is to raise children in an abuse-free household. I'm going to run an abuse-free household in a crime-free neighborhood. That's one of my main goals in life. And this list here of all the rights that you have, if, my abusers had put me up for adoption and somebody from Colorado had adopted me, I would have had 30 rights and freedoms instead of 0. Instead of being terrorized nonstop from can't see in the morning, from can't see at night. One big thing about child abuse is just pieces of shit that, want to hurt you. They can't even talk to you. They can't even talk to you like you matter. They can't even talk to you like you're an actual person. The right to be free from physical, sexual, emotional, and other abuse or corporal punishment. The right to be free from corporal punishment. We don't even hit adults who commit terrible atrocities. But we're going to say it's okay for corporal punishment to be used against our most vulnerable. I'm going to print this up. This is 30 rights and freedoms that my children will have, because I want my children to have just as, many opportunities as anybody else. So if a foster kid in Colorado gets all these rights and freedoms just because they're my kid, they get no rights and freedoms at all. No, I want my kids to do well. So I'm going to do the exact opposite. I'm going to, instead of just terrorizing the shit out of my kids and then that's it, pretend to be a good person, but you're a weak and insecure piece of shit, because that's all you want to do is terrorize kids, right? I'm going to do the opposite. I'm not going to terrorize, my loved ones. I'm going to raise my kids to be strong, and I'm going to terrorize anybody who fucks with my kids. Yeah, you don't get to, I would like to live in a world where I could just say, hey, let's just, nobody rape, nobody murder, nobody steal, nobody hit. And we all agreed on it. And we all said, yep, that's absolutely the case. But child abuse has showed me that you motherfuckers are evil as shit. And then to top it off, when I talk to some piece of shit, anytime I've ever tried to talk to anybody in America about this, there's been some people who have listened, but I've ran into a lot of pieces of shit. And the first thing out of my mouth is, hey, I really didn't like being abused as a child. And then they'll say, some dumb shit. As if I don't have a right to bodily autonomy. As if the things that were done to me were right and fine and proper and dandy. Like as if I would have done them to you, you would say it's quite okay. Let me just give you one example. So when I'm very young, my abusers allowed their sister, my aunt, to come into the house, and she's sitting there roughing me up. I don't even remember what the hell was going on, to be honest with you. But I know that she was always mean and shitty. So let's give her the benefit of the doubt. Let's say she was trying to play, but she twists, she grabs a hold of my arm and she twists it. And hell, in my mind, I might have been playing or something, but maybe I really pissed her off. It hurt. So, I shook her off and I said, ow, that hurt. And then she just started saying, I'm sorry. And she respected me, which is how the world should be. That's how the world should have treated me. But my abusers didn't give a shit. She said, sorry, I'm still in pain. I remember when I told my abusers sorry because I broke some little wedding glass when I'm 4. And my abuser said, sorry doesn't help. So I told her, sorry doesn't help. She runs outside crying. And then my abusers brought her back in and then made me apologize to her. My abusers didn't want anybody to love me or respect me. We beat the crap out of this one. We terrorized the shit out of this one. You terrorize and you hurt this one too. We don't give a damn. He thinks he has a right to stand up for himself. No, he does not. So injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Had my abusers knew right from wrong, and they would have asked some questions, well, what did you do? What did you do? But instead of trying to find out what the hell was going on, they just said, nah, we abuse this one. We're going to keep abusing this one. We don't care about right and wrong. We don't have a conscience. We don't feel bad at all. And then later on, she's going to be a piece of shit to me in church. And then she's going to, she's never really talked to me unless to say some mean shit. My aunt has just been an awful, awful, awful person. Can't even say a word out of respect. Why? Because we beat this one. We disrespect this one. We shit on this one. And then I remember people telling me that she had got abused growing up. So we're supposed to, my abuser also said that, don't love the boys. So grown-ass women don't abuse. Grown-ass men don't abuse. Girls don't abuse. But boys, nobody gives a shit. Nobody gives a shit. Let's keep reading some more of these. The right to receive adequate and healthy food. Didn't have that. Adequate clothing. I had that. Inadequate allowance. No, my abuser took $50 out of my hands. My Uncle Timmy gave me $50 for a birthday gift. My abusers robbed me. They stole it. They stole it. Straight up. They took a year's worth of labor from me once. They don't even feel bad about none of this shit. I'm making straight A's. You would think they would articulate my mind, get some books, try to encourage. No, they terrorize the shit out of me. And I feel somewhat bad because I'm making straight A's and I'm just pissing everybody off in class. But motherfucker, he used to get mad about a B+, but just an A-. My Uncle Tim gave me $5. He's never seen such great grades as that. But my abuser saw those great grades all the time. Sometimes they'd give me $1, sometimes not. But if I brought home an A-, I'd get hit. I'd get hit for a lot of dumb reasons. Don't murder, don't rape, don't steal, don't hit. That's one of the worst crimes you could commit against another person. And they did it over and over and over and over again. And then I want to, this piece of shit, I deserve to be loved. But when I talk to this piece of shit, some piece of shit in America, hey, I think child abuse is wrong. Oh, really? What did he do to you? And then I'll do the same to you. Instead of saying, it's obvious, right? You don't want me to smack you in your fucking shit face? How come? Why don't you want me to smack you in your stupid shit face? You did something that I didn't like or was annoyed by, or how come you don't want that? You don't want me to bring my sibling into the house to beat the crap out of you? How come? You ever heard of the golden rule? Made me, very much am clinging on to the golden rule. You treat others the way you want to be treated. So, yeah, of course we need adequate and healthy food. An adequate allowance? Yeah, we live in America. You need a little bit of money. But if you're an abuser, you want to keep them dumb and powerless and terrorized. That's the most important thing in the world. Make sure they're terrorized and scared. Instead of raising, them to be strong. The right to receive medical, dental, vision, and mental health services as needed, free from forced drugging of chemicals or pharmaceutical. The freedom to contact attorneys. The freedom to contact other people, caseworkers, foster youth programs, supporters, court-appointed special advocates, and probation officers. The freedom to contact a child protection ombudsman, County Department of Human or Social Services, or the State Department of Human Services regarding any questions, concerns, or violations of the rights set forth in this Article 7, and to speak to representatives of those offices privately. The freedom from threats or punishments for making complaints. Oh, God, you definitely couldn't complain. You definitely couldn't talk to them. If you're being bullied by somebody, at school or somebody else, they didn't give a damn. There's a guy, Michael Patton. We were locker mates. We would, right next to each other, his locker, and there's my locker. And he was saying some dumb shit. And I don't know what I said back to him, but he was the aggressor. And then he just started slugging the shit out of me. You know how impossible that is for a good kid making straight A's? The fuck am I supposed to do? I'm getting my ass kicked at home, getting my ass kicked at the school. Where the fuck do I go? Which one of you pieces of shit gave a fuck? I think that's, it sucks that it happened, but when I go to talk to somebody about it and they just say, it's okay, we don't give a shit, you don't even know what happened. You didn't even let me explain what happened for you to say, but you told me right away that you don't give a shit. So you're a child abuser, and you defend child abusers, and you're a fascist piece of shit. It makes me hate fascists too. A fascist says, do as I say or else violence will happen. But you don't know how to convince people of nothing, huh? You're just a dumb, bullying piece of shit, huh? And maybe if you started to convince people of things, and maybe you could see when... That's another thing about abusers. That's all they respect is violence and meanness and cruelty. You can't convince them of nothing. They're so much smarter and so much skeptical. No, the reason why I get to hit you is, Malcolm X says if a man lays his hands on you, you send him to the cemetery. That's true for anybody. Keep your damn hands off of each other. Keep your hands to yourself. But the reason why an abuser couldn't say what Malcolm X said to me, if anybody lays their hands on you, send them to the cemetery, is because you're not going to defend yourself. You're going to stay dumb and weak, and we're going to do whatever the hell we want to you. We will never stop. We were cruel to begin with, and we'll be cruel to the day we die. And so, people might say, what are you complaining about that stuff? Because I deserve to be loved and respected. And at the very basic, I just feel like, I'm saying don't commit major crimes against me. Now I'm saying, now you got to, if you're going to be in my life, you got to know my Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You need to know my rights and freedoms as a Coloradan American. You need to have some sense of natural law. I mean, how many people would ask Frederick Douglass? How many people would look at Frederick Douglass and he's sitting there saying he got whipped and beat up and, he endured slavery. I endured slavery. I didn't get paid for my work. And I got terrorized and I got hit over and over again. I was a child farm slave. Away from the world. Away from the eyes of the world. Only 2 people saw what was going on. And so it's bullshit. I had to endure a million crimes, and then when I go to talk to anybody about it, they immediately say, that's okay. It's okay if you endured a million crimes. Frederick Douglass. What did Frederick Douglass do to deserve a million crimes? Just born black in America? Frederick Douglass, well, you think you deserve rights and freedoms? What about Anne Frank? If you came up to Anne Frank and if she was still alive, she'd be 90 years old today. She still could have lived. That's how recent Anne Frank. But if Anne Frank comes up to you and says, man, those Nazis, they put us in concentration camps and gave us syphilis, and the thing that you say is, well, that's okay. I don't care. It doesn't bother me that they're doing that to you. I just saw a South Park clip where they had a school shooting and everybody was going on like nothing had happened. But you had the wife who was sitting there saying, fucking show some goddamn emotion. Be sad, be mad, be angry, be scared, be something. Give a shit. Don't just walk around like nothing fucking happened. Something did happen. And it was bullshit. Oh, Anne Frank, what? You got tormented by the Nazis? Oh, Frederick Douglass, you got tormented by the white supremacists? I get it. I know exactly what Anne Frank and I have a better idea of what Anne Frank and Frederick Douglass went through than a lot of people in America. I endured real slavery, real terrorism, nonstop. Go ahead, ask Kathy today. Kathy is the person that came in and twisted my arm. She can't say anything kind about me. Barbara Williams. This is another abuser of mine. My abusers, apparently the best way to get into my abuser's heart is to abuse me. They would, Not only did they stand up for when my aunt was twisting my arm and made me apologize to her, so they did everything backwards. If they would have stood up for what was right, then I would have had two parents and an aunt that loved and respect me, but they didn't know right from wrong. And instead of me having love and support, instead I had nothing but terrorism and bullshit. Barbara Williams, she's a racist piece of shit. Some people might say she's my grandmother, but only by blood. She's a terrible person. My first experience of her is her just beating the shit out of me because I thought she was Granny, but she wasn't Granny. She was Barbara, and it was very important that I knew the difference. And after my parents dropped me off at her house, and then they left, and then she just pummels the shit out of me. What am I supposed to do? Talk to my abusers? Hey, she abused me. They would say the same thing. It's okay. Just like Kathy when she hit me. My abusers are totally fine and dandy. That was fine and dandy. They didn't give a damn about that. So the best way to get into my abuser's heart is to abuse me. And that's awful. That's terrible. I had nobody to talk to, nobody to go to. And even still today, I don't really have. I'm very suspicious of clinical practices, and we counsel each other